Hi, everybody. Welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon. And that's Darren. Are we doing a mime episode?
Hey, what do you think I just finished doing?
Obviously, you did a presentation.
That's the tell, right? On all these shows. Like, if I got a tie on, I've done a presentation. If
Yeah.
you've got a tie on, you just finished a presentation. Just finished another presentation. Another busy week for us this week. I mean, it's kind of cool. I just finished the school. But this week, before we get into the news, I mean, this week we got a couple of conferences we're doing. Like, you're doing one with the RCMP National Youth Services, where you're going to be talking to youth right across Canada through the RCMP, a project they're doing. Kind of cool. I'm presenting at the 2001 CWC CyberX Conference. I'm sitting on a panel with a couple of other just really people who I respect in the area of digital literacy and social media safety and literacy, and I'm sitting on a panel with youth in the digital world, which is kind of cool. I'm also presenting to a law enforcement agency where I'm going to be presenting to their school resource officers, their youth officers, and their gang officers.
Very, very busy here in the White Hatter studio.
So, I mean, this week it's kind of cool. We got schools, we got law enforcement, we've got conferences. It's like unbelievable, kind of cool. So what do we got going on?
Let's talk about the news.
In the news.
First, that was quick and normal.
I know. Do you like that? I can go quicker. Go back to it again. No, let's do it again. Let's do it again. No. Do it again. Do it again. Ready? Quickly. Here we go. Ready? And.
All right.
It's the morning. I'm still spiked up on the latte I just had.
Okay, first in the news is interesting, not really safety, security news, but just interesting from a presenting standpoint, is Microsoft Teams has made some improvements to its platform.
This is kind of like, you know what this is kind of like? Oh, go ahead. Talk about that, and then I'll talk about what I think it's like. It's like Coke versus Pepsi.
Oh.
You know the challenge?
So, yeah.
It's turning into this, right?
Yeah.
But I'll let you talk about it.
I mean, honestly, looking at the features that they're implementing, I kind of think they're going to be potentially better than Zoom.
Yeah. So let's call Zoom Coke, and let's call Microsoft Pepsi for now,
Sure.
right? So it's kind of like that challenge. So what's going on with Microsoft?
So
Fill us in.
Microsoft's adding some more presentation tools because, I mean, as we've learned in that, Zoom meeting and just meeting platforms to do lectures is not a really useful platform.
That's why we don't use them.
Yeah, and that's why we have the studio and we integrate different tech, right? But, what's interesting is Microsoft doing things similar to what we do.
Let's pull that up. Let's pull up the big screen.
So a couple things for PowerPoint users. I mean, obviously, generally for PowerPoint.
Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yeah, see, there we go.
Keynote, right? They don't.
But
like
you can, as a presenter, you can basically bring your PowerPoints directly into Teams, view your presenter notes, control your slides from within the Teams platform.
We've been doing that forever with our technology that we're doing, because you Frankenstein, as I like to call it, right?
What's also interesting is that you see in this picture, like you can actually do like
the lower right corner.
Yeah, you can overlay yourself over top of your slides.
So is that a virtual camera kind of thing?
It's a virtual camera, yes. And I mean, like that. Obviously, I mean, we've been doing that for a good 2 years now.
Yeah, we have been.
But it's interesting because we've seen that be so much more effective from a training standpoint that it's interesting to see that built into Teams. So I mean, if you had to ask us, what's the best teaching platform? Is it Zoom?
Ours. No,
ours, obviously. But for people who don't have the technical ability to do what we do here, if they were to ask us, do you prefer Teams or do you prefer Zoom?
Well, you're the expert in this field. I mean, like it or not, you are the creator of the White Hat Virtual Studio. I mean, we use a variety of different programs and hardware and software to do a variety of different things, right? I mean, can we show some of the things that we can do right now? Like, it's amazing. None of these other programs can do.
I mean, obviously,
kind of stuff.
we could do a green screen again, right?
Right.
Where are we? I mean, hello.
Hey,
I mean,
how come on? Oh, there I am. I was hiding behind your big.
You're there.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Well,
how you doing?
So
we got we got a green screen. What else do we got going? What else do we got going?
Corner views.
Oh, corner views. Yeah. What else?
Down there's that.
How about the back camera? Back camera.
Back camera.
Hey, that's what we're looking at right now that people don't see.
Yeah.
What about the top down camera? Top down camera. Hey, we got top down camera. And don't we have a punch function, right? Can you do the punch function? Hey.
Yeah. So.
Hey, and we also have sound now too, right? Does that work? Can we do it? Let's try it. Let's try it.
Should work.
Let's try it. Let's do the Among Us. Among Us. Ready? Oh, it didn't work. Can you hear it?
Yeah, I think it went through.
Oh, okay. That's kind of, I can't hear it in my ear, that's all. You've done some really cool things,
Yeah.
right? So Microsoft with their program, so let's zoom there back up. So they're kind of doing, they don't have many options, but they're kind of making it more jazzed up to hold attention, right?
Yeah, it's similar to what we do here in the studio, which is
Right.
kind of, so people had to ask us from a teaching standpoint, would you prefer Teams or Zoom? I'm kind of leaning towards the Teams.
And it's kind of interesting because you just did a conference last week of a bunch of teachers. I think it was the Alberta Teachers Union, right? That brought you in?
Yeah.
And you did 2 sessions. You did one on sexting that they just loved, and then you did one on how to use technology to teach and stuff, and they just loved that one as well. So there's a good example where you might just recommend that as an option as well.
It's an option. I mean, obviously we do things above that, but yeah, it's interesting to see that as well. And it's not the only update. I mean, Microsoft Teams also announced that they're doing, they're adding end-to-end encryption for one-to-one calls. So
it's kind of what Zoom did. Remember, they got in a lot of trouble because they didn't have that.
no. I mean, Zoom has entire meeting encryption, so
Right.
all members will be encrypted. So this is only one-to-one. So I think they're lacking behind that per se. But for encryption on Zoom, you can't. You can't use the web-based functions.
You know what's interesting is last week I sat in on a webinar and they were using Zoom, and it was kind of a security safety seminar, and they got Zoom bombed. They got Zoom bombed. It's like, here you are, we're supposed to be talking about this stuff and preventing it, and they got Zoom bombed. But that's one of the benefits of what we do with the program that we have. Nobody else can take control like that, right?
Yeah, it's a broadcast, not so much a meeting platform.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Interesting, right? So you're saying right now for educators that maybe the Teams might be the way to go compared to Zoom.
Yeah.
What's the pricing like?
It's actually pretty competitive, right? Because in the new Zoom update, you can actually do, or the Teams update, you can do webinars built into the platform.
Oh.
Where you can have registration fields already generated for you and capture emails. Now you need the Microsoft 365 business account for that.
Gotcha.
But you're looking at $16 to $20 a month,
Oh.
which is similar to Zoom, but you get Microsoft, email, all these other features for the almost same price.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Including their PowerPoint.
in PowerPoint, Word.
yeah.
So I think
Coke versus Pepsi. Here we go. Ding, ding.
Yeah.
Fight is on between the two monsters right now, right? But that, that only benefits the end consumer. Yeah. Right? Competition is healthy, right? And so, I think clients are demanding more of these services. And for those companies like Microsoft and Zoom who are listening and adapting, then they'll start to take market share, right? So, I mean, it's something that you identified many years ago, and that's why we decided not to go with any of those platforms and design our own. And so, kind of cool. You know what the other cool thing is, I must say, Brandon? I'm wireless today. Like, I have no wire. Everything that I'm wearing right now is, we've gone totally wireless. So usually when we do this show, I got wires hanging from me plugging in, and
you usually have 2 wires attached to you, one for the
Yeah.
monitor, one for the microphone.
yeah, like we're totally. You turned me into a wireless Frankenstein now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The boomer's gone wireless. Woohoo! Cal, what do you think? Huh? Got your name in. Hey, by the way,
What?
Cal, because he watches this every week, right?
yeah.
People don't know who Cal is, and so he's thinking about getting, I think I said, a bobblehead.
Oh, yeah.
But he actually sent some emojis that kind of look where he's wearing a surgical mask. And I think the next show I'm going to send you a couple of them so that people can kind of see what he looks like. But he's also added some sound effects into them. Hilarious. They're hilarious. And we need to figure out how to build them in so that when I mention his name, maybe we can push a button and it just appears. I think that would be cool.
Okay.
Just for you, Cal. Anyways, next topic.
Next on the list is, again this week, we're talking about the Brave browser. Now, last week we talked about Brave is designed to be a more private web browser.
Is this like Firefox or kind of like
Firefox and Chrome, right?
or-
Well, Brave is now looking into building its own privacy-focused search engine, which is very similar to DuckDuckGo. In order to compete against Google.
So not only are they going to be a search engine, so they're going to be a platform like Firefox or Safari.
Yes.
But within that, they're now going to build their own searching platform like a DuckDuckGo.
Yes.
That offers the privacy.
Yes.
How far along are they?
I actually don't know for certain, but it's interesting
Is
to
it
see.
going to be free?
Yeah, it'll be free.
How are they going to make their money?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say they'll probably do ads, most likely, but they probably won't take the Google approach where they're targeted ads. They're just general ads.
Oh, it's interesting. Did you see this week too? Google has announced that they're no longer going to collect and sell information. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
What do you think?
We'll see how that goes because there's other ways to collect information besides cookies.
I know.
I
don't trust the Google-eister.
I mean, Google probably has other tech involved to help that.
No.
Which then means
Where's my silver hat? I gotta bring those things up.
and I don't know now. That might now take smaller companies out of the market because they who use cookies as the primary method of tracking and data analysis now can no longer use it.
Interesting.
And
I think they did this because of what Apple did, right? Because of their platform and how Apple has changed some of their settings, and that if you're doing this kind of stuff, they won't let you do it. And like, there's some real fights going on. There's some big fights going on between the tech giants. Love it because it's all about privacy, right? Collecting
did you see
information.
the proposed bill at a U.S. state where they're suggesting tech companies can have their own governments?
What?
Just interesting that.
What?
That was
Build up on that.
That
I know
was
it's not on. What do you mean?
It's not on the show notes.
I know, but what do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Like,
I can't
so
remember
like
which-
Facebook can create its own government?
I can't remember which state it was, but there was a proposed bill that would essentially give
It's got to be like Nevada or something. Like that.
there'd be a creativity campus or something, what they called it, and then basically if you have an innovative technology, you can basically have this piece of large property that you can collect taxes as a corporation. And I mean,
What the hell?
I saw that.
It's turning into the Matrix, man.
I mean, so that's not in the show notes, but that was just.
We need to talk about that at a show because that's kind of interesting, right?
I know.
World Order, 1984. Did you ever read that book in high school? Orwell's 1984.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
So on to the actual planned discussions we have here.
I'm telling you, it's the coffee I drank.
Yeah.
I'm just wired. I'm good to go.
Spy Cloud. Security firms have all these weird, cool names. Spy Cloud, their 2021 annual.
Sounds like a James Bond movie.
I know, Spy Cloud. Spy Cloud. Yes, it's the Spy Cloud.
It does. It sounds like a James Bond movie.
Anyways, the new MI5 program, Spy Cloud.
I know. It sounds like I say, it sounds very James Bond. What's going on with that one?
So they've done their 2021 annual credential exposure report. So basically I know, right? Basically what they did is in last year they collected 854 data breaches. So companies who were hacked by a hacker per se.
So how many?
854.
Okay.
And they saw about an increase of a third from 2019 in total data breaches that happened in last year or 2019.
That kind of makes sense. Okay.
And,
I'm working.
Okay.
I'm feeling you. I'm feeling you.
And what they did was really interesting is that they took all this data and
Yes.
from all these different companies who were hacked.
I can see you're building to a crescendo here.
I know, right? And then what happened is they cross-referenced similar emails. So if your email was breached in this hack and that hack and that hack, what they did, they analyzed how many people used the same password.
Here it comes. I know it's
and
coming.
The number was 60%.
60%.
60% of people who were identified in data breaches, in multiple data breaches, 60% of the time they use the same password.
Okay, that I'll be honest, that doesn't surprise me too much because we know that people have a tendency of using the same password on multiple platforms. So if one is breached, they all breach, right? Here we go. Here we go. Okay.
There was one group in particular that really got the attention of this report.
Okay, can I guess?
What?
Kids.
No, it
Adults.
was people. Now this is U.S. numbers, but people who had .gov email addresses. 87% of the time, their passwords were found in multiple places and reused.
You're kidding me.
Government workers reusing the same password to log in.
But yeah,
to multiple accounts.
If there's a lot of education on this very topic, it's in government, right? Because government. So what you're telling me is that government workers are using their their passwords on multiple platforms.
Yep.
Oh God. I mean, that's something else that we talk about, right? When we're, it's like I spoke about this to officers when I was in the police department, saying like, you have a department email and password, only use it for departmental purposes. Don't go to YouTube, don't go to whatever, because you want to download an app so that your wife or your spouse doesn't know you're downloading it onto your personal account, because as a result of that, if it gets breached, you're putting the network here at the department in jeopardy. So what you just said to me is that 87% of those breaches were .gov email breaches.
No. Of, not 80% of the breach, but of the .gov email accounts that were breached, that were found, 87% of them had used the same password in multiple places.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
My God.
And overall, 60% of all users who were found in these data breaches, in multiple data breaches, were found to be using the same password.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you, and our watchers, I was bad for that. You used to go after me all the time because I would use the same password, because for boomers, it was just easier for us to do that because we didn't really recognize what was going on with these cyber criminals. And, I'm getting much better now and stuff. But obviously, and this was last year's stats?
2018. So
they
pulled the data from 2020. So they pulled data from 2020
last year.
and they compared it to 2020's data, and they found a third increase in total data breaches.
That's still that's actually the 60% that you mentioned didn't surprise me. The 87% one that you just hit me with, that one really surprised. It's actually quite concerning, right? Because again, government is so big to employees saying don't do it. But they're still doing it. So should there be a consequence is my question, right?
Oh, so government taking the data themselves and finding who are the perpetrators, and then going, hey, we found your password used in multiple places. There's a...
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting number, scary number, concerning number for sure from SpyCloud.
SpyCloud. Security companies.
What else we got going?
On the same kind of topic point of data breaches, we get asked all the time by students, hey, what about VPNs? What about free VPNs? What about VPNs like this one or this one or this one?
And before we go on, the reason the students want to know about the VPNs primarily is because they want to use them to bypass the school filters, right? That's why they want them, right? Let's be honest. It's not necessarily why we adults want the VPNs, but that's why the kids want them, so that they can bypass the school filters.
So interesting data from security experts from Cyber News.
No, here we go.
Names, right? Love the names. 21 million VPN user data leaked online. So,
so how did this happen? Because VPN, what did you just do there?
Wrong button.
Oh, okay. Fill us in. What's the story? 21 million.
Yeah. So
what's the story?
The story here, so there were 3 apps in particular, and they were Android-based apps, and they have free versions and in-app paid versions, and security in them wasn't great, and lists of leaked information included email addresses, usernames, full names, country names, generated string passwords, payment details, premium memberships, expiration dates, serial number of devices, phone numbers of devices, device IDs, and other tracking points.
So primarily free VPNs, or if they were a paid VPN.
They had free versions, but they had in-app purchases upgrade to the premium version. Now, again, these VPNs are nowhere near mainstream. Well,
a couple things off the top of my head, off top of my boomer head, is that VPNs have become a big thing over the past, probably I would say 3 years. They've been around longer than that, but really over the past 3 years, I think they've become more on topic because of what's been going on in the digital world. So I think there are a number of companies that are trying to cash in on that. So they're offering free VPNs and cheaper VPNs, where the more premiums, like the one that we use, which is private internet access, you have to pay for it. I think it's like $65 for a 2 to 3 year subscription up to 5 devices. Mm-hmm. But the one that we use is one that is very popular within our industry, and it's got huge credibility behind it. They don't collect data, they don't have in-purchase apps, they don't sell data, and it doesn't slow down our internet connection, right? So what you're telling me is that when it comes to VPNs, what's the important message?
Not free ones.
Correct.
Now, some do have free trials, which can be fine.
Okay.
But you don't want to be focusing on if it's a free trial and it expires, then that's kind of a good sign. But make sure it is a mainstream, top-rated VPN.
Right, and free means they got to make their money somehow, which means that they're probably collecting data from you and selling it to others. So number one, stay away from free VPNs. Or if it's a premium VPN and it has in-app purchases, stay away from that one.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. If a VPN, if you can only upgrade via an in-app purchase, that is what I would be afraid of, because most mainstream VPNs, they can have in-app purchase upgrades. You can pay for it through your Apple account. You could do that, but they also oftentimes have web-based, credit card-based payment methods as well.
Gotcha.
So they have infrastructure there to support that, and that's a pretty standard practice, and that's not something that's available on your paid-for VPN. That's probably just smoke and mirrors.
Gotcha.
Pay for it. It's premium, but in fact, you're paying for nothing else.
And I think the other thing too, I mean, teens are starting to watch this show more too, is that the free VPNs also slow down your internet connection a lot of times.
Yeah, and premiums can as well too. They can. There's always a factor of slowness. Now, depending on what you're doing, if you are a quick reaction gamer, you probably don't want to use VPN for that reason.
Yeah,
right?
I haven't noticed any kind of a lag on the one that we use, which is private.
Yeah, but I mean, you're not necessarily doing a high intensity.
Hold on a second here. I'm playing World of War tanks, okay, and World of Warships.
It's not a Twitch shooter, right? Okay. Where you need to be super accurate.
All right.
Milliseconds matter.
All right.
Frame rates matter.
Go ahead and use the word.
What?
It starts with a B. Go ahead.
It doesn't have anything to do with being a boomer or not.
Oh, okay.
It's just a matter of certain competitive games require certain strengths and frame rates to be competitive.
World of War tanks is pretty competitive.
Yeah, well, okay.
Just saying.
Sure. So that's it. So
better than Cal, who plays Pac-Man and asteroids, right?
Okay. Next
What's this next one?
Last topic.
Oh, this is the one I brought up to you.
Yeah. Chatbots that resurrect the dead. Legal experts weigh in on disturbing technology. So you brought us up on the show notes.
I did. What's interesting is how technology now, especially artificial intelligence, is allowing us to do certain things. So a really good example, my My Heritage app. They just came out. It's not a free, you have to pay for it. But what it allows you to now do is to take any picture, and through artificial intelligence, who's ever in that picture, you can make them come to life, right? Where it looks like they're actually moving, and it's so good, it's really hard to see that it's AI, that it's fake. You can't say anything yet on that specific app. It's just basically taking a picture and making it into a 3D.
I think there was another company who's building a platform for that, though.
Yeah, my Heritage app has got it right now, but this technology is very interesting, is that they're now using artificial intelligence where you can basically, with AI, build somebody who's passed away into an AI realistic person where you can now engage in conversation with them. It's kind of creepy. But you know what? Some of the things I've read online, especially about the My Heritage app where it takes a picture, they actually say that for some people, it's comforting and it offers a sense of closure.
For others, it's absolutely creepy and
scary.
I
know.
Burn it with fire.
I know. So it's interesting. Like the title here where it says, legal experts weigh in on disturbing technology. I mean, this is where ethics comes in and stuff, right?
I think if you're a celebrity, I think it's different. I think it's a different story because, as we've seen in the past, Disney, who has resurrected individuals to bring them into movies, but that's all based off of the estate. And the estate
we saw that with Star Wars, right?
Yes, we did.
Where they brought in Princess Leia. The actress or the actor, she passed away, but they were able to use an AI-generated version of her in the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's interesting, but I mean that was negotiated through their estate.
Right.
Now, I guess for celebrities, maybe that's a different story, right? Because I don't know how that would work, right?
What are your thoughts? Like when I die, will you create a version of me so you can still talk to me?
No. No. No.
Why not?
The only chance that's happening is if you haunt me. The only chance that's happening.
I'm not feeling the love right now. Like, I'm not feeling the love right now. My God. Like, I would do it with you, No, I wouldn't.
No.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
No, I wouldn't. It would just be creepy, right?
Do I need to put that into like my estate or something? Like, do not resurrect me digitally. I do not want that. Leave me alone.
Interesting question. Will people maybe build that into estate planning? And so if they do, how do you enforce it if the person's dead?
I think that would be the...
Good question, right? Like, there's...
Well, I guess it comes like, can you recreate the image of Michael Jackson and then use that for your own financial purposes?
I don't know.
I would assume their estate and their legal plannings have prevented that, right?
Yeah, but what about people who don't have the money to do that kind of
here's
thing?
the thing, but also copyright, right? Copyright, it's what, in Canada, it is, what was it, 65 years after someone's passing?
I don't know.
Things are still copyrighted.
Yeah, but is that a copyrighted picture if it's self-generated? If I create it, I didn't take it, right? Like, I don't own the copyright because the DMCA, right? The copyright, it only applies to me in the picture, right?
So then someone maliciously using a deep fake of someone who's living
I
or
know,
dead.
I know.
Right? And people have said that, yeah, that's not allowed, right? You cannot use a deep fake of someone in order to portray.
Well, people have said that's illegal, but has it gone to court yet? I don't think so. I mean, there's all kinds of really...
There are some legislations in place around the world to prevent that.
Yeah, there may be some legislations, but just because a legislation is in place doesn't mean it survives court scrutiny.
I think that would probably fall into like impersonation law or something.
We don't know.
I think that would fall into impersonation.
Well, we don't know.
It's not even me taking a picture of your face, making a Facebook page, and then pretending to be you. And maybe,
there's been some clear legal precedent on that, right? But stuff like this, where we have no cases whatsoever. I mean, flash that picture up again. It's kind of creepy, right? Kind of creepy. Hold on and see if I can kind of replicate it. There we go. There we go. Right there, right?
Yeah.
Brandon, I am your father. Come talk to me. Right? So, it's just interesting how technology is now really starting to push ethics and stuff like that, and some of the discussions that need to go on and the laws associated with it. But I think the deep fake issue in Australia, they've passed laws now in Australia that makes it illegal for somebody to create a deep fake where they put your likeness into a porn video and use it for that. They've got laws in place now, but have those laws been challenged yet? No, not yet, right? So it's one thing to put a law into place. I mean, it happened in Canada, right, where laws were put into place, and great, the laws are in place, but then they get challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court of Canada makes a ruling on what the law actually says and creates case law, right? So it's going to be very interesting. And what's even more interesting is the judges are going to make decisions on this are way older than me a lot of times and have no idea about technology. Right?
It's not going to be allowed because people in Hollywood who make money off of states.
For Hollywood, right? But what about the average Joe? Like, if all of a sudden I say, I don't want my image to be used,
if they allow,
and then you decide when I die to use my image, well, who's going to enforce that?
Well, then by that logic, then Hollywood directors can recreate people's images, dead actors, and then bring them back, put them in movies. By that same logic, they could do that.
I follow the law.
But that would not be allowed. People who manage the estates of actors who have passed would not allow that.
Okay, because
they would not make money off of it.
But they got the money to support that and to push that, right? But
yeah, but you can assume the average person can benefit from that. Unless there's an exception going, only famous people can choose this or not. But that's not going to go ahead.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, it does create some really interesting ethical dilemmas, right? And discussions and kind of pushing through. So very interesting, right? I found it interesting, but creepy at the same time. And I'm actually saddened by the fact that you don't want to create one of me so that you can continue to have discussion. Like, if I was to die tomorrow, you could create one of me and I'd be sitting here with you doing the same show.
No. No.
Or we can create one of Callum, put him between us, and just have him pop up, where all of a sudden he pops up between us every so often. Oh, hello, guys.
Put him in an elf costume.
Yeah.
Stick it on the shelf.
I know. You got to see some of these things that he sent me. It's actually pretty funny. I mean, I think I might have some here as you're talking. I mean, they were kind of cool. Here they are. Let me see if I can find them. Where are you, Cal? There you are. Here they are. There. Hold on. Check this one out. I got to turn the sound on.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how we do that. All right. So from the White Hatter team, thank you all so much. Before he goes on another tangent, bye everybody, and we'll see you again next week.
We'll see you next show. Bye everybody.
See ya.
Bye.